So I had a mom book an appointment for her biracial daughter.
So I used to be a foster parent, and before I did that, I did something called juvenile panel reviews. I don't know if it exists worldwide, but I did it in Houston County and Bibb County and Cobb County. And what it is when children are placed in foster care, the citizen review panel checks to be sure that the Department of Children and Families is providing everything for the family to be able to get the children back, the biological parents to get the children back, and also checking in with the foster parents to make sure that the children are being adequately provided for. And there were a lot of cases where I saw the children were not being adequately provided for that specifically dealt with racism and specifically dealt with hair. Now, this is the biological parent who brought her child in with the hair matted like this. But I think it's the same issue. It's a matter of your own racism and maybe a little bit of laziness as well, because you're looking at the texture of that child's hair and it's nowhere near my texture of hair. There, to me, there's no excuse for why that parent could not have taken care of that child's hair or found the smallest amount of intervention watching a YouTube video to be able to get the information needed. But anyway, I had a child who was placed in foster care who was an indigenous Guatemalan child, and there were so many issues that were going on here. So the foster father brings the child in, and this father has cut all of the child's hair off. And he's just going on and on about how it's much more manageable now and it's much better for him and for his life. And this child is like 7 or 8 years old. You could tell they were old enough to express their disappointment at how their hair had been chopped all off, but he did not care. He was insistent that it was better for him to be able to get, he had other foster kids in the home too, to get them all together, not to have to deal with his hair. Now, looking at pictures of the child, I can see the hair was not unmanageable. It was just this person's racism and maybe a little bit laziness blocked them from being able to say different doesn't mean difficult. Different doesn't mean difficult. And so they didn't take any time at all to figure it out. And cutting that child's hair off is not just cutting, like it's a connection to their culture, their history, their everything that they've already been cut off from. The other problem that I had with that child is that they had not done any search for fictive kin. The Department of Children and Families had not done any search. And when I asked about it, they said that the father was in jail. And so I looked into it more and I said, he's not in jail. He's detained. He's been detained because he doesn't have documentation to live in the United States, which is not in jail. It's immigrants are not put into a criminal process. It's a civil process. I'm also an immigration attorney. So one of the other people on the panel says to me, you need to turn off your attorney mind and just be here as a citizen. It's a citizen review panel. Sir, you bring your whole self to this panel. I'm going to bring my whole self to the panel as well. And so I forced them to contact the father, and he was able to provide several fictive kin family members that this child would be able to be placed with. And so we were able to get that going. In the meantime, the foster father kept making nasty comments to me like, I've never seen you here before. Like they made it very much known that they did not enjoy the ways in which I would call certain things out as a part of the citizen panel review, because I don't know if it was factual that I was the first Black person to sit on the citizen panel review, but they definitely acted as if I was. Because anytime that I would make a comment that had anything to do with racial sensitivity or ethnic issues, they would get up in arms about it, honey. Anyway, to wrap it up, in this day and age, there is no reason why you should see a child's hair look like this. There isn't. There is entirely too much information available on YouTube. This is racism and laziness.